Alright, hello everyone. Today I'm here with
Hi.
Sebastian Pozzo. I actually
Hi, Ali.
did an interview with Luis Salvato, who's also Argentine. I cannot pronounce that. Argentinian as well. For those who don't know, Sebastian is currently battling in the Rivals League. He's also former Standard Master. Back in the day, the best performing player in both Constructed and Limited. During the PTs, got invited to World Championship, and Sebastian was one of those people in Standard. And he also actually qualified for his second World Championship last year when he finished fifth place. And yeah, how's it going, man?
All good. It's much more like quiet life. Like, I mean, not traveling in a long time, and that's something very different from what we were used to.
Yeah, like Luis said basically the same thing. Like, you know, back in the day, we used to travel all the time, and now he's just stuck in Argentina playing on arena and stuff.
Yeah, also traveling from Argentina is like a lot more distance than traveling from, like, I don't know, maybe if you're living in the USA and you travel for Magic, it's not the same amount of traveling.
Do you have to like fly to the States and then to Europe, or can you just like fly directly? I actually don't know.
No, you can fly direct to Europe, but depending where it is, it's usually like not direct flight. Unless it's like London or Madrid, Barcelona, you can get direct.
Is it like more expensive than the tickets from US?
Not by a lot. Flying to Miami is probably the cheapest, but and sometimes New York too. But to Madrid and London, you can also find good prices. Also, some friends that were living in Europe and came for the holidays, they told me that the tickets were like crazy cheap with the Corona.
So me and Sebastian were actually part of the same team for like about 2 Pro Tours or something, I think. So I know you a little bit, but you know, I don't really know you that much. I obviously got like the first time I really like acknowledged you or like saw you was when you became the Standard Master, but I don't really know your story before that. Like, was it hard for you to qualify for a Pro Tour? Maybe you just played for fun and it like kind of happened, or maybe you tried really hard for it. Like, just tell us your story if you can.
Yeah, actually, we met a little bit in Chile the year I was fighting
that's true.
for.
I remember
we came
that.
to Chile to play a GP, and I was like, I had like a shot to Standard Masters with the last Pro Tour ahead, and I told you the names of the competitors who were also like in a good position to make the Standard Master, and you told me, you're fine, you'll get there. You're always like bully personality.
I'm bullying personality.
I mean,
I guess you're right.
Everyone is super bad except like 1 or 2 players.
Because it's true. It's not like I'm bullying anyone. I'm just saying the truth. Like, you know, there's like a
We all
PV,
have our
LSV, and then
parameters.
everyone is just bad. I don't know. It depends on how you merit it. Obviously, you're really good. But
Also, Yuya and Owen not being on the league is also like a big downgrade in the level of play overall.
that's true. That's true for sure. So how did it happen for you? You said actually one thing that I want to say, because you mentioned Chile. We actually played in one of the Pro Tours. I think I also played against Luis at that Pro Tour. You played Goggles, and I actually tricked you, if you remember that.
You played me in the Pretty Madrid?
Yeah, I think you played Goggles, right?
No, I didn't play that deck. I played White Winnie and did super poorly.
No, but the Pro Tour that Luis topated, you played Goggles as well, right?
No, I played White Winnie. It was a
really?
terrible deck. I should have played Company probably.
No, I don't mean the Pro Tour with like red green goggles. I mean like the Boros goggles. You remember
that one, Madrid.
Oh, you didn't play it? But we did play against each other, right?
I don't remember that actually.
You told me the story yourself. You had like a Kolaghan's command or something, and I played Jant, and I drew Chandra. You don't remember? You're the one who told me the story. So how do you?
No, you're confusing me with somebody else.
No, I'm pretty sure it was you. Well, anyway.
It's fine. Okay, you tricked me. Yeah, you got me. You're super good.
No, I'm like 100%.
Completely outplayed like Olagan.
I didn't remember the story, but you told me it, and then I was like, oh, I remember now. But whatever.
Maybe.
Let's continue.
It's fine. Let's move on.
Maybe it was someone else. I thought it was you though. So yeah, just tell us about your beginnings.
The beginning of my career, or the
Yeah, like
beginning
for
of
example,
me
there are
playing
like
Magic?
a lot of people who just like to play for fun, and they're really smart, so they just win some PDQs, and then it just like kind of happens. And then you have people who like maybe they are not as good, but they like try really hard, and they like it's their goal, and they get there. So which one was it for you?
I think it's something in the middle for sure. Like I'm not like super talented, but I also worked a little bit for it. In the beginning, I started playing as a kid, obviously, as most people do, and not knowing much. Then I started to like competition. I lived for 3 years in Spain, but I was a teenager, up to 16 years old. So I didn't really play like in a competitive scene because I was also not living in a big city, and I would travel a bit to play something, but didn't play a lot. But I started to get interested in competitive play back then and seeing the deck lists that were good, but I didn't have access to like all the cards and everything. Then I came back to Buenos Aires, my hometown, and I started to know the people who locally play like a lot and really like playing competitively, and I made my first PTQ top 8s there with a relatively easy manner. Like I felt like I was relatively good in the scene, and then but I didn't win the invite. Also, there wasn't like PTQs like every weekend, so you have to wait like 3-4 months to play like another PTQ, something like that. Or you had to travel a lot, which I didn't do by the time. And then a GP Buenos Aires arrived, and I was super hyped because I had like lost 3 or 4 PTQ top 8s by the time, including one finals, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like you make the top 8 and you don't have to win it. You're already PT invited. And that's what happened. Like I made top 8 and then I lost, but I had my invite to my first Pro Tour.
So how did it went from there?
And from there, I took the experience as, like, back then there wasn't as much information. It was 2008, I was 18, 19 years old, and I traveled to the PT, and it was holidays for me. There was a whole bunch of friends from top 16 in that moment from Argentina qualified to the Pro Tour, so we weren't like 6 Argentinian friends going to Europe for the first time. We played GP Paris 2 weeks before in Paris and went to Disneyland and like did a lot of tourism. We didn't like really focus on the tournament, to be honest. But it was a good experience. I made day 2 that for that moment you needed 5 and 3 to make it. Otherwise 4 didn't make the day 2. And I had my experience that I was desiring for a long time. It was fun. But at the same time, then I came back and I say, okay, I have to study. I have to do like something more seriously because I cannot focus on college when I'm super on Magic and everything. And then it was like a little bit of Magic, a little bit of this, and I never really quitted. But for instance, there was a whole year that I wasn't that I didn't play any presence tournament. I was also swimming a lot, and on the weekends we always go swimming. And then another GP Buenos Aires came, like on like 5 years from that or something like that, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I want to play again. And then I was reunited with all my Argentinian friends who compete, and they gave me a deck, and we tested, and when I had that feeling of being among my friends playing Magic, I really, but that time I knew I wanted to do that more. Like to have a group that plays Magic and goes to tournament and practice and everything. And from there, I just kind of never stopped. Like I told myself I want to be as good as I can and see how far I can go with this. And by the time I had 25, so yeah, for 5 years from now, we are here, or 6.
We already briefly talked about it. You became the standard master. Did something change during that year? Like maybe you played a lot more, or did you just get lucky? Also, one other thing I would like to ask about, because you became standard master, was it just an accident, or you just think that you're stronger in constructed compared to limited? Can you just talk about that?
I'm definitely stronger in constructed than in limited. I always struggled with limited a lot. Back in the days when I was doing all this process of trying to find my biggest level, I used to grind a lot on Magic Online, and playing constructed is a lot more profitable than playing limited. So I would play a lot of constructed in Magic Online and feeling comfortable also with aggro decks, because I played a lot of them, which are faster and you can make more profit on Magic Online. And yeah, not being good in limited was like, if you were like very bad in limited, it would hurt your chances to being standard master, because sometimes you wouldn't make day 2 if you start, for instance, 03.
Yeah.
But if you are like okay-ish in limited and you make like 1-2 or 2-1, maybe 03, but you can't recover to day 2, it would be like a lot more better, because you get like worse opponents on average when you play the constructed rounds if you start poorly, because like all the best players probably do very well in draft. So that definitely like was something that benefited me to get the standard master title. But other than that, it was obviously luck. You cannot be the best performing standard playing across 4 PTs without luck. But also, I felt like I was playing okay.
Did like something change for you after you made it to Worlds? Like, did you maybe start playing Magic even more, or was it the same?
No,
as before?
I was already basically all in there. Like I remember one story that is very cool is that I started a job like on Monday, seeing if I can like make that leap. I wasn't qualified to anything back then, and then like on the first weekend from when I started that full-time job, I won a MOX. That meant that I would have to travel to the US 2 times to play the MOX, and then the PT that was related to that. And I was like, okay, let's go back to Magic and pay more. And that was in 2014. So from there, it also started to develop slowly, like not spiking anything. Like I would first play a pro tour, then don't do very well, go back, learn more, another pro tour, and it was until Hawaii where I started to chaining them and doing well in pro tours.
You came 5th in the World Championship last year. I think you played Teamer Reclamation, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was Liberato.
What?
I played Mono Red.
Oh, I have all the information wrong about you. I don't know. Maybe I'm just mistaking you for a different person. Anyway, can you talk about the tournament a little bit?
Yeah, the tournament was insane. Like there's like a lot of pressure, but at the same time, like you're being treated so well. The place is so nice. You have to just try to enjoy the experience and not think too much in what's on stakes, because it's life-changing money. It's like winning worlds or ending in the last place. But I did a lot of preparation to try to that pressure not affect me too much. I recently wrote it in a Hallelujah article that should be up anytime. How I try to like keep myself detached from the result and calm and focus and all the mental preparation that I did before, because I'm not one of those person who doesn't really feel pressure. Like for instance, Luis is really good at handling pressure, but for me it can get like, if I'm really nervous, I can get like I can lose focus and start to like not being able to think through plays like one after the other one with clarity.
You mentioned Luis Salvato. You usually prepare for tournaments together. Was that always the case from the beginning, or maybe after you became pretty good, the relationship formed after that? How is your relationship with Luis, if you could talk about that?
No, we were friends from before being in the Pro Tour, so it was relatively easy. I had qualified for a couple Pro Tours before he did, because he wasn't really able to play all the PTQs and wasn't trying as hard as I was to be on the Pro Tour. But once he qualified to the same Pro Tour that I did, that was the one in Madrid that he tapated, etc. Once he was there, I was already testing with Willie Aido's team. By the time it was called Dex Army, it was like a bunch of Brazilians. There was also Talay in there and some other people. And I was able to invite him to test with us, and that was very good for him because he could like learn from Marcio Limited. Luis is someone who's very talented, but his talent is mostly inside the game, not really preparing for the match. So the preparation for him is super important. And yeah, from there then we kept always together because we're friends mostly. I don't discard the possibility that in the future we test with different teams, but so far
so far so good. I'm not gonna.
Like, I have to be honest. Like,
I'm not gonna cut too deep into that.
It's not always perfect.
So you made it to Rivals, but like the Corona like striked right after that. All the tournaments switched to Arena and stuff. I heard a lot from people that they don't really mind playing online, but sometimes you kind of burn out. You don't really get to go to tournaments, especially like if you go to like free GPs, and maybe if you don't really do that well, you like root for your friends, you like go to a dinner and stuff. It's a very different experience from just like sitting home, and if you not really winning, it kind of sucks. Like, do you mind playing online? Do you sometimes feel like you don't really want to play anymore? How is it with you and Arena?
Yeah, I like traveling for a lot of hours on planes and etc. is not good. I definitely don't enjoy it, but at the same time, when you travel, you are like 100% invested into Magic, and you just until the tournament is done, you don't have anything else to care about other than that, and that's awesome. But at the same time, I don't know, being from home also is comfortable in some aspects. I think it was a good experience, but I would prefer to be over with it and go back to normal.
Yeah, so you much rather play with the real cards, or you just like really like the traveling?
No, I like the traveling overall, and being in a venue with a tournament going in there. It's good, even if it's played on Arena like it was with Worlds and Mythic Championships. But I don't know. Yeah, playing from home is not the same. But on cards, yeah, I would have to try to learn how to shuffle again. But I guess past that, I should be good.
Yeah. So you said that you like traveling. I've actually never been to Argentina. I actually never been to South America besides Chile.
No, yeah.
This time, I didn't make a mistake. Which city or maybe place or country did you like the most so far? And can you maybe compare it to Argentina? I don't really know how is it to live there, so.
Yeah, Argentina, well, Buenos Aires at least is like a very European city in terms of architecture, and also very Spanish or Italian in terms of culture. Like places are open like until 12 or something midnight. It's not like people don't dinner at 7. They go to dinner like from 9 to 10 maybe. And that's basically because there was like a lot of immigrants from Spain and Italy mostly. So yeah, the city is a lot more similar to somewhere in Europe than, for instance, in USA. And the places I liked the most were definitely Hawaii for like nature-wise, like the environment itself. And then, well, I've been to Prague to play a GP, and it's a very nice city, and a lot of European cities like Barcelona, for instance, is awesome for me because it has beach, but also a lot of touristic places and cool activities. And
Did you like Japan, for example?
I've been to Japan, and I must admit, I must confess, that I'm not a big fan of the Japanese culture in general. And it was cool. It was very nice, like a nice experience to be somewhere so different. And I like, for instance, the temples, and we went to the bamboo forest in Kyoto. And there's a lot of that I can appreciate, but I'm not especially thrilled about Japanese culture in general. Like for me, it's like too reserved and like conservative in a way. At least that's how I feel it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's not for everybody. Do you think that's the case for like all the Asian countries, or maybe only Japan?
Well, I haven't been to
I see.
anywhere else in Asia, but it's like, for instance, I've heard that Thailand is like crazy and everyone goes party, so it's probably not the same everywhere. But other than that, usually the like China at least also has like a lot of like the respect culture, and like I don't know, maybe like I'm not an expert.
I only lay over in China, so I actually have no idea. But I think it's very different from Japan. It's like more dark, I guess. People are like more afraid and stuff. I don't know. When I lay over there, you can just clearly see that the pressure. I don't know. I didn't really like it that much, but I don't know. Yeah, is there like anything else you would like to talk about? For example, do you like the new system? I talked to Luis before you, and he said that he liked the system before Corona, like with like the fractal invites and stuff. But he doesn't obviously like it now. But he said that it's not necessarily fault of Wizards; it's just fault of Corona. So he has high hopes for the future. What do you think about that? Like, did you maybe prefer...
more or less.
You agree with
Like
that?
I think it's cool to have a league, but I think fractionals like fell a little short in terms of making the system that like I would basically keep the Pro Club system and have the league on top of that. And if you fall from the league, you fall to gold or platinum or whatever, but you have like a system like point based that you can like fight against yourself and not against everyone else, and basically not be beneficial that if somebody does well, it goes against you, etc. I think that's cool to have. Like even if you aim to getting bronze or even or silver or whatever, you have clear goals that you can achieve. And
doesn't it work like that in all the sports though? Like I understand what you're saying, and I basically agree with you. On the other hand, if you think about it in like all the other sports, you know, how well are the other people doing does influence you. So
yeah, of course. Being tennis in this era with Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic is not the same as being like maybe when Pete Sampras won like all the Grand Slams. He had nobody else to compete, and he was probably worse than all these three. But yeah, I get your point, and I think Magic is not just a sport, and it's not just a spectacle. And I think a program to reward like players in general, it's good for the game and for the business also, because
why do you think that? Do you just think that if there is like a clear path, that if you like qualify for these pro tours and if you gather these points you become like a pro, do you actually think that that's like because I think that's like a very small percentage of players actually, so I don't like, do you think it matters?
No, I think it's not that small. I think like there's like a lot of people that even though they maybe play only one pro tour or never qualified for one, like it's important for them to know that there's a way to get there if they improve and they care about. Maybe they are not the most competitive players ever, but they care about that, and I was one of them, and I think.
But they still kind of have that, right? You have like the arena qualifiers and stuff, Isn't it basically
sure.
like the same thing? Like you said that maybe they don't ever qualify or whatever, but there is like this dream. Isn't it like the same thing that they can just like try to qualify for like the Pro Tours or whatever? Like it didn't really change that much, right? They're not gonna hit
No,
gold
but
anyway.
the smaller status were cool to have as a personal goal. Like, and they give you maybe an extra invite or buys in the GP or qualifying for RPTs or something like that. I think it's a good way to forming like a less steep path towards the Pro Tour and the leagues or whatever.
I mean,
But the leagues are definitely good for the show. I think they are good for the show.
well, no one is really watching the tournaments though. Maybe it's because they cut down the money, but you know, back when like a PT top 8 it was like 18,000, 25,000 watchers, and now it's maybe not even that. So I don't really think that like the leaks or whatever makes it like more exciting for the watchers necessarily. You don't think that?
Yeah, well, Magic never had like insane amount of viewers. That's also true. But at the same time, I think it's cool to have the leagues. I don't know, like it's hard to know how would it be with everything, and I definitely think that the play from home experience hurt on the viewership of the tournaments. But at the same time, I think like the leagues are good to follow players and know who is in the league and etc. I don't know. I think it matters.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just want it to be like an opposition,
No,
so
I
that you
get
have
it.
to like explain yourself. But I basically just agree with you, to be honest.
Yeah, and I can see people disagreeing with this and thinking that the leagues are completely useless and they should just be the pro status that we had before and maybe add a level if you want, like what is platinum then diamond or mythic, I don't know, and have like extra money or whatever. But I think it's fine how it is.
Well, Sebastian, thank you for your time today. It was fun. I hope you will do well in Rivals. If you guys like the video,
I'm having a hard time.
if you guys like the video, please click on the like or subscribe button, and see you next time.